Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a massive paradigm shift. We're looking at a philosophy that aims to completely replace strict, rigid religious dogma with, well, endless joy. Now, right off the bat, I need to point out that all the concepts, the texts, and the source materials we're digging into today come from one specific source. They all originate from a single mind, Xu Feng, the founder of the Life Chenyuan community. He is basically proposing a total, ground-up rethink of what it actually means to reach enlightenment. And let me tell you, it is a truly fascinating journey to unpack.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the philosophy of Xu Feng, then examine the elements of the universe. After that, we'll redefine spiritual practice, go inside the Life Chenyuan community, explore the power of edutainment, and finally finish up with today's game, tomorrow's reality. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Philosophy of Xu Feng, the core tenet of happiness.
So Xu Feng is this incredibly disruptive philosophical thinker. He actively challenges pretty much all of our preconceived notions about spirituality, and he does it with one very simple yet radical idea. He says, the secrets of becoming an immortal are be happy, happy, happier, joyful, joyful, more joyful. Just think about traditional monastic traditions for a second, right? If you've ever studied them, you know they usually involve things like fasting, deep solemnity, and, really serious personal sacrifice. But Xu Feng, he completely upends all of that. He is putting a stake in the ground arguing that joy isn't just some lucky byproduct of reaching enlightenment. It's actually the direct mechanism to achieve it.
Moving on to Section 2, Elements of the Universe, the Cosmic Framework.
Now, you might be thinking this focus on joy sounds like a simple self-help mantra, but it's actually anchored in a highly structured cosmic framework. Xu Feng outlines that the universe is made up of exactly three elements: energy, consciousness, and structure. And the essence of the Tao, which is the ultimate truth, well, that's composed of nature, love, and the Tao itself. But here's the really interesting part. The whole meaning of life in this philosophy relies on an inside-out approach. The ultimate goal is to rid yourself of suffering, to seek the Tao, and become immortal. So if you want to change your external conditions, you literally have to start by shifting your internal consciousness. The core secret here essentially states that the worlds you experience rely entirely on your heart and your own consciousness.
All right, Section 3, Redefining Spiritual Practice, Solemnity versus Joy.
Now, this is arguably the starkest contrast we see in the source text. It's how Xu Feng completely redefines what it means to be a spiritual self-refiner. If you look at what he calls the traditional misbelief of spiritual practice, man, it is intense. It's highly rigid, deeply solemn, and apparently not even snoring or flirting is allowed. I mean, I don't know about you, but a strictly no-snoring spiritual path sounds pretty tough to maintain for sure. But Xu Feng counters this with what's called the Life Chenyuan way. So instead of those rigid rules, it advocates for adapting 10,000 flexible, joyful ways for 10,000 different people. The core purpose remains exactly the same, but the methods, they're granted this wild, totally taboo-breaking freedom.
Next up, Section 4, Inside the Life Chenyuan Community, the Practical Test.
As Xu Feng rightfully points out, a theory is basically useless if it doesn't actually work out in reality, right? To really understand this community, we have to look at who is actually showing up. And we're talking about absolute strangers from 18 different provinces in mainland China, mixing with international folks from Zimbabwe, France, Canada, America, England, and Taiwan. It is just this massive, incredibly diverse collision of people all coming together for this grand social experiment.
And what's wild is that in this community, the environment is defined almost entirely by what isn't there. By stripping away clear taboos, rigid responsibilities, and formal administration leaders, the text claims you effectively remove affectation and hypocrisy. Think about it for a second. Without someone bossing you around or, arbitrary rules to break, what actually fills that vacuum? Well, according to the community dynamics, it's filled with sisterly love without envy, brotherly playfulness and encouragement, this harmonious fairyland vibe, and pure actions that stem genuinely right from the heart.
This brings us to Section 5, The Power of Edutainment, Confucius meets Cosmology. So this brings up a really fascinating historical connection to explain how exactly playing games results in measurable spiritual growth. Xu Feng explicitly links the concept of edutainment all the way back to China's greatest educator, Confucius, who actually pioneered the idea of teaching through joy. And it's a brilliant analogy when you think about it. Just as a student learns better when they're actually having fun and fully engaged, a spiritual seeker purportedly perfects their consciousness much, much faster through play, relationship building, and induced joy. He takes this highly abstract cosmology and grounds it in a very relatable psychological reality.
But how does this transformation actually happen in everyday real-world terms? Well, it starts simply enough. You just experience pleasure and joy in the community. You just have fun. But over time, this constant, steady state of joy naturally purifies the heart and supposedly pushes you into a kind of flow state. You start developing higher thinking almost unconsciously, without even forcing it. Ultimately, this edutainment approach claims to literally alter the non-material structure of your life. Basically, by just living joyfully, you are supposedly changing your own cosmic DNA.
And our final section, Section 6. Today's game, tomorrow's reality, the future vision.
This highlights a pretty massive gap between how everyday outsiders view this community and what their ultimate cosmic goals actually are. On day one, an outsider might walk by and just see a bunch of adults joking around, pulling tricks, and playing games. They'd probably completely miss the educational psychology at play here. Because months later, those same members return to the secular world fundamentally changed in their internal connotations. They just interact with life completely differently. And the ultimate goal of all this? The text confidently predicts that the joy practice today literally constructs a divine reality tomorrow. The people playfully engaging today are supposedly destined to become the real grand masters, Buddhas, and angels of future spacetime. No small feat, right?
Which leaves us with a really provocative question to ponder. If the ultimate practical test of any spiritual philosophy is whether it actually generates genuine human happiness, does the traditional solemn world have something to learn from this method of edutainment? It's a fascinating paradigm shift, one that basically challenges everything we assume about the path to enlightenment. Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me, and as always, keep questioning what you know.